beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And another beautiful day. Today's early this morning. It was really windy, so it still is a little bit breezy, but not like it was this morning. I am so sorry. I have this ant here, and these ones bite. These actually will bite your ass or your toes. Did I say ass? Yeah, I said ass, but they will bite you. I don't know. They like to bite. So anyway, I love you all, and thank you for all of you who are here, have been here for a long time, and those of you who have joined me recently on my YouTube channel. Thank you for the love and support. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there, they think they can do things on their own. Guess what? We all need a helping hand. I am always helping people, you know. I get people surprised. They got their hands full. They got, you know, they're in the gas station. They got, how many, you know, how are they going to get to the door? How are they going to open up the door? They're just, you know, they needed help. So Starlight will give them a helping hand. And anyway, I love you all, and anyone that would like to send any love donations you can through my Cash App, and I will have that information here. Ping! There it is. And before I start this video, okay, today's topic is, let's see, don't fall for these tricks, because tricks are for kids, right? Tricks are for kids. There's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on. Some of you might be well aware of it, and you're like, you put your horse's blinds on, you know, but before I start this video, I almost forgot. Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget the notification bell, and you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you can share my videos with your family or friends. Plus, don't forget my playlist, and you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So anyway, now is that don't fall for these tricks. I fell for these. I definitely did. I was noticing things today when I went in the grocery store, and I knew some of these things before, but they have everything set up for a reason. They have it, you know, there's somebody that's got it all set up, you know, like I had to go in and get water today, and I'm thinking, don't you think that a lot of people really need water? And but where is the water located? Well, now I go into Walmart, so I don't go in all these other stores, and I'm just talking about Walmart. So there's a lot of reasons why they have the store set up a certain way. Like even in Walmart, the same thing is a super Walmart, that is. Where's the alcohol and beer, you know, located? Where's the milk and the eggs and the butter located? You know, of course, all the food, you know, you're gonna, but the things that you know, you kind of, well, people that drink, you know, water is really important, but they have it in a way that you have to go past everything to get to the water, which water, you know, how many people buy water, you know, and there's a lot of stuff in the store, you know, that people need, but I just was, you know, I knew this a long time ago, like putting, you know, purposely putting junk food all by the cash registers. You know, they got little kids, you know, they know little kids are like, yeah, I want this candy, you know. So you really do have to put your horse blinds on and be wise out there. And Starlight a long time ago, and I loved doing this. It was kind of weird. I did work. Yes, I did work. I was working for companies, or even starting my own business around that time. And I did a lot of freaking surveys. I wasn't even getting paid for it. But you know what? It was the questions, you know? So you can learn a lot of stuff. Okay, why are they asking that question? You know, and there's a lot of different, all kinds of surveys, survey this, survey that, all kinds of surveys, lots of questions, you know? some of them was, it's none of your effing business. Why are you asking me? You know, like, what's that has to do with anything? But there was a lot. I loved it because, you know, it really got me studying the survey and, you know, thinking about why they ask different questions, you know, depending on the surveys. Like I said that already. But don't fall for these tricks. One of the surveys that I did a long time ago is, this is before they have it now, and I'm totally against it. No, we don't need it. Take it off the shelf, you know. Some of you are screaming, Starly, well, we need this. No, we don't. The survey was about, hey, what do you think? Should we have, like, gummy vitamins, gummy medications, you know, gummy, like I just had this not too long ago, and I didn't even realize it, you know. It was gummy. I got it for free. That's a Starlight story. I didn't even look at the ingredients. And this is, you know, don't fall for these tricks. And I did. I fell for this trick, you know, because it's sad what they do. And I'm trying to think of the word that my brother was teaching me a long time ago, the one that's no longer here. He was teaching me, integrate. The word integrate. I was learning about the word integrate. What's integrate? You know, that's putting two things together and, you know, combining it into one, you know, one thing. Let me think if I can think of something off the bat of integrating stuff. Well, because I'm gonna explain exactly, and it's horrible what they do. I'm just making sure. Don't mind me. My feet are on leaves here, and many times the ants will crawl in my sandals and get under my feet and start biting me, and I didn't do nothing to them. What does it mean when an ant bites you? So anyway, that's just a Starlight joke. Ha ha ha. So anyway, the survey that I was building up to was, it was gummy vitamins. So then your poor children would be able to get the vitamins. You know, there's a lot of screwed up things I'm going to say to you. And I'm not a doctor. But I'm a strict parent. I have to say I am a strict parent. Yeah, I'm proud of being a strict parent. I'm old-fashioned. Yes, I'm an old-fashioned kind of parent, you know. But of course now my kids are all grown up, and if I did have kids right today, yeah, I'll tell you what, I am strict. We need parents like that, though. That's the whole. There's a balancing flow with that, though. But a long time ago, the survey was about having vitamins as gummy bears, so then your kids will be able to take it. And so I did a survey on that. What do I think about that? Absolutely not. You know? And recently I had, it was supposed to be beetroot, and it was a whole big ass jar. I didn't know it until I got right down to the bottom. I'm like, wow, I just already ate all of these things. Hey, slow down. Starlight doesn't really, I'm not into sweets. I like fruit. Give me some fruit. I love sugar that way, you know, natural sugar from fruit. Bananas, I just had some grapes, strawberry. Ooh, I do have an ant or something. So they get stuck in my my straps there. So Starlight likes sweets in that way. I have not even eaten ice cream. I get tempted, though. I go to, sometimes I go out to an all-you-can-eat buffet. I'm at the salad bar. You'll find me. I'll be at the salad bar, honey. Yeah, that's where you're going to find Starlight. Not at the dessert spot. But with the gummy vitamins, absolutely not. You know, if my brother was still here today, that man, he loved sugar. I gave him all my sugar stuff here. And I'm telling you, it would not last. He loved his sweets. He loved junk food. He really did. And so that we were different in so many ways, and on what we ate. But I'll tell you what, if I gave him those, the beetroot gummy bears, gummies, you can count on it. He's not going to eat what it says on the container. How many does it say on the container? I think it was 2 or 3 for an adult to eat. And I'll tell you what, I don't get into sweets. And I wasn't even thinking of what these, gummy beetroots, gummies were, I didn't think about how they were made or anything like that. I'm like, hey, beetroot is really good for me. Yeah, beetroot is really good. Beets, are really good for you. That's all I was thinking. Don't fall for these tricks. I didn't realize there's sugar in those things. So it's like, of course, by the time I got, 3/4 already done with eating the whole jar. Not in one day. I how can I say no to these, Because I'm that type that wouldn't go out and buy them. I do like the taste of candy, but I need to protect my teeth, and anyway, sugar is not good for you. So don't fall for those tricks out there. And, your kids, man, I'll tell you what, when they learn how to open up those suckers, there goes the whole jar. Where did the jar, where did the vitamins go? And that was my whole point when I actually did the survey. I'm like, no, kids would like them too much. My mother didn't know it. My mother would ask me all the time, did you have a bowel movement? I didn't even know what the heck a bowel movement was. I guess I didn't have a bowel movement. So I was forced to drink this horrible oil stuff. Ugh. And then there was these pills that were purple. Starlight used to, when my mother wasn't looking, I would go, I was old enough to learn how to open up a container. And Starlight, I had belly aches after belly aches after belly. I don't know why, but gummy bears for kids, there's ways that we can get those vitamins in our kids without, that is an ant. They tickle my toes. Sorry about that. They love the salt on Starlight's feet, the sweat. And so, there's ways, that we can get the kids to eat the vegetables, without, if they were getting the vegetables that they need, they wouldn't have to go get these vitamins, gummy vitamins. So you gotta be, I was tricking my kids from the time that they were babies, when they started eating baby food. Oh, you like bananas, huh? You like bananas in a jar? All right. Green beans in the back, bananas in the front. So it was kind of mixed it all together. So wow, these bananas taste still good, but they got some green beans or whatever vegetables that they didn't like. I always kind of put that in the back and put the goodies in the, the fruit in the front. They didn't know any difference, So with kids, smoothies, get them interested in making smoothies. They like strawberries, You could have your kid in front of the mixer, and they see the strawberries, So in the beginning, you could start off like, look at all the fruit here. Throw it all in there, throw some spinach in there, mix it all up, and have them taste it, and they're like, ooh, I like this. Well, then when they're not around, you can start making your own smoothies, and add some fruit in there. There's ways that we can do that. And I'm a very strict mom. Those are things that don't fall for these tricks. They're taking something that's supposed to be healthy and taking something that's not healthy for you, and they're putting it together. Here you go. Because you know what? It all starts when they're little, what they're eating and their eating habits. And, if we don't, the parents need to be the boss in this, This is a big, huge problem in the world with parents, When you let your parents run the house, they're going to tell you what they want in the house, to eat. But parents, we need to be the ones to be wearing the pants, because once you give them that power, you know, they will run your ass. You know, I just was around some parents the other day at a park, and it's, you know, now it's like this thing is like, when the parents don't want, not all parents do this, but I do witness all kinds of different things, is the kids learn if they bug the parents enough, eventually the parents are going to cave in and give them exactly what they want. I tell you, you got to be careful of these things, because, you know, you got to be careful. There's times that parents end up talking with other parents at a playground. This is what I witnessed not too long ago. And, you know, the parent can get so into the conversation with the adult that's there, more into that conversation. I see a lot of stuff at a playground, believe me, is that they aren't really focused on the kids. They're more on that conversation with somebody instead, you know. And kids were going up to the parents, you know, it's like, hey, it's money time now, you know, it's money time now. This is time to give me money so I can, you know, and you got to really be careful with it. This is just a throw-in thing. There is, you do have to be careful with your kids that they don't run you. The other things, don't fall for these tricks, is, and it's all over in the store, you know, they, just like the gummy vitamins, or, you know, or anything like that, put sugar, you know, healthy and not healthy stuff and putting them together, and now you think, hey, it's got beetroot in there. It's healthy for you, right? Well, when I grew up, we ate a lot of oatmeal, lots of oatmeal. That wasn't the only, and especially through, you know, Monday through Friday, because it was a quick and easy kind of thing. But you know what? These days it's all different now. You know, now my mother used to make homemade applesauce. Woohoo, that one bit me. So homemade applesauce, and you don't even have to add sugar. You know, there's so many things that we can do to help the kids out, or even you, parents. You know, it doesn't take much. Go get the oatmeal. I have oatmeal in my car. I was trying to look for blueberries because I love throwing blueberries, you know. Instead of buying the crap out on the shelf, you know, oatmeal with blueberries that's got tons of sugar in there, is you can get a whole big old case, you know, a big old container of oatmeal, you know. Find out what flavor your kids like. What do you like in your oatmeal, honey? I like blueberries. All right, we're going to go get fresh blueberries. You got to start them off like that, though. You know, is they'd be like, wow, these are big pieces of blueberries. Better than, you know, the box of, you know, cereal that's got all the sugar, you know. Is we got to kind of turn that around. Don't you want your kids to be around for a long time? Because how you start them off, you know, they could end up going eating junk for the rest of their life. But not, you know, later on, that could all change. They might learn from mom and dad and find out that, what the heck, they were feeding me junk food my whole life. I thought they loved me. Didn't they? Didn't they love me? Why would they give me stuff they know? Hey, I'm going to give you this, but it's not good for you. Why are you giving it to me then? Well, it's cheap and quick. I'm just saying, you know, so you got to watch out for these things. They got all kinds of stuff in the aisles of things that you think is good. Like, I used to feed this to my kids when they were younger, because you know why? It was cheap. Macaroni and cheese in a box, powdered sugar, powdered cheese. You know, we got to break from that. You know. We got to make time for the kids to eat healthy, for the whole family. Don't you want them around for a long time? But you got to think about the habits that they are getting, you know, and how are you cooking your food, and what kind of things are you preparing for your kids and your family? Because that's what they do. Now, Starlight fell for this. Guilty. You know what I thought? I thought, but there was fruit and there was nuts and raisins in there. Isn't it good? No, Starlight. Why not? Well, because there's a lot of sugar and salt in there. I was wondering why I was feeling so weird after eating all those nuts and raisins. I was like, what the heck? I mean, Starlight ate a lot of those. I'm like, whew. I used to buy those, the packages in the Walmart, you know, and it was all like a whole big mixture of, you know, nuts and, you know, all kinds of fruit and all that stuff. But it's not, you know, like, really, you think about it. Might as well just go pour some sugar in a bowl and give it to your children. Would you do that? No, I wouldn't do that. Well, this is what they do. These are all tests on really what we're going to do. You know, you're being tested all the time. You're being tested all the time. The things that you buy, you know, there's so many things, you know, that I used to do when I was bringing my kids up because I didn't know any better, blah, blah. You know, I wasn't being taught how to eat healthy when I was a kid. You know, they were going by, you know, eat anything goes kind of habit, eating when I was growing up. You know, we were not eating healthy. You know, there was some things that might have been, you know, but you got to really be careful of these tricks that they have out there. And I'm trying to think of other stuff, you know, that is not, they got a lot of different kinds of cereal now has got, like, you know, I love cream of wheat. So now they got, you know, now they got to add flavors into this and that, you know. Of course, Starlight grew up, you know, even the cereals out there, you know, kids get addicted to that stuff. Adults get addicted to this stuff. But it's something that's going to, you know, more than likely follow them through the rest of their life until they actually decide that they don't want to eat that way anymore. But, you know, it is so important to really not to get tricked by these things out there that they do to us, you know, and that's why the parents got to be the ones in control in the house, you know. Someone in the house has got to, you know, and you know how much money you would save. I have to say they actually had this not too long ago, and I don't know how it went. And I agreed to this, though. I agreed to this, is that people that have food stamps, not too long ago, I heard that they were gonna say, you can't buy any junk food. I was like, yes, that's what they need. People were getting upset because they thought, oh man, you know, I can't buy junk food with my food stamps. Well, shit, I tell you what, I used to get food stamps because I was a single mom, bringing up 2 kids, working at Burger King. And I had to get food stamps. There's no freaking way I was going to pay rent, pay for my car, insurance, take care of 2 kids working at Burger King as many hours as I could. I was that chick that doesn't want people watching my kids. I had a very hard time sending them to public school. You know, so you got to be careful of all these things out there is, you know, with your family and your kids about, you know, what choices that we make out there. And like when I had food stamps, you know, I'll tell you what, as I was getting those food stamps, learning how to use them in the beginning, yeah, you know, I didn't even know math very well. So, you know, I would get I had a list with me, get all the things that we needed, you know, snacks for school for my kids, or I don't even know if they even had, no, they probably had free lunch in school because Starlight was working at Burger King. Starlight wasn't bringing lunch in school. So, but snacks, you know, we would go on hikes and we needed snacks. So Starlight always liked getting these little cracker things, raisins, peanuts and stuff like that. But you know what is, as I was learning about food stamps, I was learning, wow, at the end of the month, I tell you what, it was a week before the end of the month, running out of food stamps. Barely having enough for 3 people in the house, 2 kids and a mom. So it was teaching me, Starlight, knock it off on the junk food. Because, you know, there's people on welfare that get government assistance. Imagine if they spent half the money on it, you know, or this is another big thing that people fall for these tricks, and it takes you a lot of money, is going out all the time every day, you know, going at a gas station, buying your water. Holy shit, you know, just buying that case of water. That's why people need to think ahead and be more organized and plan things out a little bit more as far as their work week goes. You know, on the weekend, that's what you're supposed to do. On the weekend is to buy all the water at like Walmart or other grocery stores, you know, because you're going to pay double the price at a gas station, you know, for the water. Now, of course, they got different brands of water, but you're still not gonna, you're gonna pay extra money for that and all the different other things, you know. That's why the weekend is the time to get prepared for the weekdays. That way, you know what? The convenience doesn't pull you in. Those are little tricks out there. Convenience, you know. Oh, you know, because this is a lot of people that are in welfare do, or government assistance, just like anybody else. They're just like anybody else, guys and girls. Yeah, they're no different than you or me, you know. Is that they go to these, you know, because it's convenient. It's convenient. I knew relatives and I was trying to help them with this. They could take my advice or leave it. I'm like, you know, I see you going to stores all the time. Well, there goes your money, you know, because all that stuff is expensive to go at a convenience store. Now you're paying extra money for something that you could get at a regular grocery store. You like junk food? Well, go to the grocery store. It's cheaper. I'm kidding. I'm being serious, but I'm kidding at the same time, because it's a big way of getting your money. You know, the prices are crazy in there. You know, I check prices out as I'm like, you know, I don't even buy this stuff in there. And I'm like, you know, like, really? You know, it used to be how much for that, but now that, you know, I could, you know, before, like, man, if I went to a store, I could get a whole case for, you know, like, oh, they're gonna, you know, like a banana. 2 bananas for $1. What do you think? Is that a deal? I could get a whole freaking thing of bananas for $1, you know, depending on how much it weighs, you know? So it's like, and people, you know what they do is people fall for this trick all the time. They don't want to look like the poor person in the store. They are hungry and they see this stuff in the store. And they deceive themselves thinking, I could get this, but they really can't. They really can't. They buy things. They don't even have the money for it, you know, to impress others. Those people don't really, you know, it's really best to, you know, think ahead on the weekend. Think, you know, my son does this, you know, once in a while he goes out, you know, gets something with the guys, you know, on the lunch break. But you know what? That boy I stayed with them for a while, like maybe about a month. And every night he, you know, the weekend, or, you know, however he gets his food, is that he planned it that weekend is to make sure, hey, what do I want for lunch this week? And he got that all ahead of time. You know, it's not embarrassing to bring your own food into work. It's a wise thing to do. You know, instead of going out and spending all that extra money on, you know, things that you can't even afford. And yeah, doesn't it feel good to just go up there and, you know, order these sandwiches like every day, but not even think of the cost that it's actually gonna, you know. You figure, like, if you spent $5 a day on a sandwich in a month, where's your money going? And then you're at home and you're, you know, things are getting tight. People are too much of a rush, you know, running, you know. They got to slow down. You got to slow down and really do what's really important, you know, by, you know, taking the time out and making a list and checking it twice, you know. And going into the store and, you know, hey, yeah, it's going to take some time, but you know what? If you need like a case of water, you know, for work, get it, you know, at a store instead of a convenience store, because they're going to, you know, just even a cup of coffee, give me a break, you know, a pot of coffee, how many, you know, like a small, you know, like when I was growing up in my own apartment, a scoop for a pot. Okay, how much do you think that little scoop out of the coffee can is worth? Is it worth, you know, $3 for that scoop, you know? Don't you think you ought to drink the whole pot? So that's why there's restaurants out there that will charge like $4 for a cup of coffee because it's free refills. Now that I don't have a problem with, you know, hey, free roll. Really? Free? Do they got French vanilla? So I know that's a bad thing. That's one of my, I eat very healthy, but that's one of my things that I do. So anyway, I really hope you don't fall for these tricks out there. Really be wise about your shopping and teach your kids. Your kids are going to follow your example of what you're doing. Teach them, hey, we don't need to go to the gas station every time, you know, the convenience stores. Teach them that it's wiser to go at the store on the weekend or whenever you got to go to work, whatever your schedule is. Do that, you know, ahead of time. Make the time to go to the store. Get some fruit and vegetables in there, throw it in there. You know, it's not embarrassing. You're being a great example to other people by showing them how to eat healthy. It's easy to show people how to eat unhealthy. Everybody, you know, not everybody's doing it because Starlight is not doing it. Scratch the French vanilla creamer. But, you know, you could be a great example to other people and say, hey, you know, they'll be looking at your banana and your strawberries and your grape or your orange that you got. You're like, man, that looks really good right now. But, you know, hey, they got junk food. So anyway, I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.